Good evening and welcome to Let's Talk Shop with Russ. Hope y'all see y'all, or I'm glad to see y'all all out there. Leonard Davis, James Parker, Chris Nealon, Aussie Man is already out there.
Aussie Man.
I think, Chris Nealon was the first person here tonight. He was actually saying, yeah, he was actually claiming it too. He was like, yeah, I'm the first person here.
He beat you, Bill.
Yep, he beat you, Bill. So, but yeah, they're all out there. I appreciate y'all being out there.
Arr.
Yeah, we have the pirate on tonight. Artisan. Yeah. There's several different ways. We were talking about that earlier is how to pronounce it. And it's funny because I found out by wanting to learn how to actually pronounce it. It's a French word, and artisan is how it's actually pronounced in French, which is a little different from the way we say it in America, because he goes through the French version, the English version, and several other versions, a European version, and then he goes into the American version of how to say it. So, but it's Tyler Dalton, Artisan Pirate, and he's on tonight. And I don't really have any information. Oh, Michelle Marcoux, he just showed up. Good to see you, Michelle Marcoux. And
the whole gang's here.
Other than I think I told everybody the last time I was on, I had COVID during New Year's. Well, apparently it weakened my immune system because me and my wife both got sick this past week. And I'm like, I ended up going to the doctor again, and I was like, what in the heck? Why? And he goes, once you get your immune system compromised, it doesn't take anything for it to jump on you. So I have found out I actually had to postpone my cataract surgery on my right eye because of the sickness. I couldn't go. So now I decided I'm not going anywhere. I'm not stepping foot out of this house until after I have my eye surgery, because my eyes are starting to be affected by it, and as far as my quality of vision. So yeah, I'm going to stay inside and not go anywhere, and hopefully ward off any sicknesses until I can have my eye surgery. They said they were going to be able to have it. Let's see. Let me look at the calendar. In February on... Oh, hit the wrong button. February 10th is the projected date. But I am going to call them and put myself on the cancel list, because people cancel, just like I had to cancel last week. So hopefully they can put me on the cancel list and I can work myself in quicker. So the quicker the better.
Welcome to the Let's Talk Medical with Russ.
Yeah, that's all I got to talk about. That's all I got to talk about. Other than I'm doing some 3D printing, and I think everybody's pretty. I did print, and she don't even know it yet. I did print my wife this for Valentine's Day.
Ooh.
A little heart buddy that she can put on her desk.
Ooh.
So, yeah, he's got little legs. He sits on the edge of a table or on her desk. So I did print that for her. And in case I have a flat, I made sure I brought me a spare tire.
Ooh. Well, that only looks like one. Where's the other one?
Yeah.
It's a spare if you have two.
No, it's not. It's called a spare tire. Only if you one. When have you ever seen two spares on a truck?
But that's the only one you've got. So where's your spare?
But he's got 4 in the driveway.
Oh, does it?
Yep. No, actually, I have 6 in the driveway on my truck. Yeah.
And by the way, you carry too when you have some really bad tires.
Yeah, I would imagine. I would imagine. So yeah, we pretty well stopped
I hope nobody's
saying
getting
where we
seasick.
were all from because of the fact that we say it over and over every week. If you haven't learned it by now, there's a problem. So I guess we'll go ahead and get straight to Mr. Tyler. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Thank you guys for having me.
You're welcome. So how you been doing? I mean, how you been health-wise? Have you been sick lately?
Funny you should say that. My mom has the flu currently, and I've been around her. And this morning, you had messaged me and said you were still good for tonight. You had been sick, and I thought, well, what a coincidence. Because, I mean, I woke up with a splitting headache, and I'm like, oh, no.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
You know, like, you know, because I've been around her, taking her places, you know, but right now I feel good, you know, just tired because like right now, this is usually my sleep time. You know, you guys know the time stamp of my post. I get up extremely early. So
that's what I was telling Russ earlier.
Yeah. He said you got up at 4. What time do you actually get up?
3.
3. Yeah.
Is that on purpose?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why do you get up at 3?
It's what I got used to. Back when I worked with youth, we had to be in at 6. So during the early days, I mean, that way, so I would back my schedule up and get up at 4. That way I could get up, I could shave, I could have my coffee, exercise, you know, get ready for the day and then get ready to go over, you know, and then I basically kept doing that with YouTube, you know, staying up early. But where my shop is, it's right near a major 4-way intersection for 18-wheelers. And I'm a mile from the train station, and the rail line runs by the neighborhood. So the camera I use does not have a clip-on microphone like a lot of people use. So I have to get out there before the noise of the day. But then I can actually edit my videos, you know, anytime I want to, you know, when I've got free time, you know, but it works. People tell me I miss out on a lot of nightlife, and I'm like, there's nothing to do in Burlington. So
probably nothing that you want to do either. I mean, let's
true,
just,
you know.
Yeah. Well, the people that stay out till 12, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning usually are getting in trouble.
The only thing Burlington is a pit stop between Greensboro and Durham.
Yeah. You have a lot of trucks going through there, obviously.
That's right. You're in North Carolina, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay, I'm in Wilson.
All right. I'm smack in the middle in Burlington.
Yeah, there ain't a lot to do in Burlington and Wilson.
Did you get affected very much by the hurricane that destroyed part of North Carolina?
I was actually sitting on Myrtle Beach when the storm come through. We were at the beach. I got some footage on my social media, you know, the waves coming in real big, and like the wind was so bad in Myrtle Beach, the Ferris wheel was actually going by itself. You know,
Oh, wow.
But in Burlington, we just got a lot of rain. We got 7 inches of rain in one 24-hour span.
Oh, that's
So, I mean, that was all we got. We didn't really get no wind, no bad weather, no nothing like that, you know.
Well, that's good.
We're very fortunate. A lot of people in, you know, Western North Carolina wasn't so lucky, you know.
Right. That's what I was fixing to say. I think it went up through Georgia and then into Western South Carolina and Western, West Virginia and all those up through that area. And even some into Tennessee is where it went up, where it caused the most damage. Yeah. We got some effects of it, but all we got was wind and rain. I mean, the wind was pretty bad, don't get me wrong, but we held up like we have. So thank God for that.
Yeah.
So how is your YouTube channel doing now?
It's good. I checked it this morning. I'm right at 11,500 subscribers. It's
Awesome.
steadily growing over 1 million lifetime views. You know, I'm blessed and I'm fortunate, and I always try to give it back whenever I'm on there. You know, if someone sends me something, no matter how small or minute, I'll try to hold it up on camera. If it's a hat, I try to wear it, a shirt. You know, I try to wear it. You know, I try to give back to the people that helped me, because there is no way, shape, or form I could have done this all on my own.
Well, yeah, you say that, but you are you have a way of appearing to the people that watch you, and also in your Scrollsaw stuff, you have a way of being really authentic and a very good explanation of what you're doing and how you're doing it. So you're getting a lot of attraction from that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I watched those.
I did get a lot of pushback when I started branching out into other areas.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, I've done Monday Scrollsaw project videos. If I had something occasionally, I'd put up a Wednesday video, you know, like a sticker swap, or if I found something that was worth telling, I'd film it. But when I wanted to branch out and show that there was more to me than, you know, just a one-trick pony of Scrollsaw, and, you know, I got pushback. When I started doing the model train stuff, a few subscribers reached out to me and said, "Hey, if this is what you're doing, bye." And I'm like,
"Yeah,
wait a minute." You know, like, so I try to stress it to everyone. I'm trying to go in so many different areas and avenues, just to see where I can fit in, basically. You know, like that Artisan Pirate name, it doesn't have like it's not an umbrella. You know, there's not one thing that it can be attached to. So I'm just trying to see where I can slot it into. You know, I just recently done a video game video, you know, where I held up the family collection of the original Nintendo games, and like the first 2 or 3 days, it didn't even get 100 views. And I'm like, well, you know, I thought gaming was such a good, you know, a big thing for a lot of people. But then, like, toward the end of this week, it jumped up to almost 600 views. And I'm like, well, maybe someone's seen it and shared it around, and the right people found it, you know.
I think anymore it's kind of a hindrance if you try to shoehorn yourself into something, because in woodworking we got so many different kinds of things you can do now. We've got lasers, and we've got 3D printers and CNCs, and it's your personality that people like. If you want to get eclectic and start doing other kinds of things, the people that are going to watch you are going to watch you just because they like you. You know,
and that's what I was going to ask. Have you got any pushback on your laser? I know you got an X-Tool laser, I believe it is.
Yes. And I've actually used some Scrollsaw patterns on the laser, you know, some Steve Good designs and all. And, you know, I'm like, they've become so affordable now, you know, that the weekend woodworker or hobbyer can pick one up and tinker with them. And they don't have to go get an X-Tool or a big, robust ultra laser, you know, that's enclosed. You know, they can pick up a cheap one, you know, and start going. But the main focus of the channel has always been, and as far as I see it, will continue to be, preserving the Scrollsaw and showing that it can still be a relative and very versatile tool out in a garage or workshop.
Right. Yes, you can have a Scrollsaw in a garage. And you need, well, first off, you can buy Scrollsaw ready plywood and stuff all over the place. Most of your wood places, like my wood place that I buy, can buy maple and walnut and all that kind of stuff. Will cut it for you if you need to. So you could get by with maybe a small bandsaw, a power saw, just to cut up stuff small enough to get into your Scrollsaw. And you could do it in your garage.
Yeah.
And you don't need any.
And the Scrollsaw doesn't make much of a mess. I have known people and talked to people at woodworking shows that they're like, hey, we got ours set up in a spare room because we don't have a garage. Right. You know, I mean, because you got the little thing you can hook a dust hose, you know, shop vac to. I mean, it's still very therapeutic for me. And it's relatively safe to use and teach on, which is what I love.
Yeah. Yeah, I've taught a lot of kids. I taught my granddaughter, 2 granddaughters, and 1 grandson to Scrollsaw. So, and they really loved it. And I show people all the time when I was doing Rockler. I was doing Scrollsaw lessons for Rockler. how safe it was. You could touch the blade pretty much and not cut
Yeah.
you. So
We don't have
Yeah.
a lot
Do
of
that
here.
with a bandsaw. Don't do that with the bandsaw.
yeah, don't do that with a bandsaw.
But his
You'll
channel-
draw back a bloody nub.
Well, I already learned that.
Yeah. Oh wow.
That was
Yeah.
with a joiner. That was with
What?
a joiner.
Wait,
Oh, joiner. When did that happen?
14 years old.
Ooh.
Oh man,
Yeah.
there goes our workshop confession.
Yeah.
that's it. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
In fact, I got some comments that we never did one for Rockin' Woodworks for last week's
Yeah.
show.
Oh, for Eli, yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
Brian's
I-
gonna come
I-
with two now.
Yeah, he's got to come and do too. But yeah, so what are some of okay, obviously just start off with scroll sawing and then go down the list of some of the things that you're into right now, because you have upgraded. I know there's trains and a few things, but start off with a scroll sawing and go into what you're into right now.
Well, scroll sawing first and foremost is the the backbone, with the foundation of the channel that built it up. But it's opened so many doors for me. You say yes, model trains. I'm into collecting. The older I get, I'll be, good Lord willing, in July I'll be 37 years old. And as I'm getting closer to 40, I'm getting more nostalgic for stuff that helped make me when I was a kid. The toys and all. And thankfully, my mom preserved a lot of my toys, so it's just a matter of fact of going into the storage sheds and looking for them and showcasing those. So I've always loved toys, classic toys, vintage toys. So I want to start showcasing those. I love Swiss Army knives, those, just how many varieties there are. I love collecting those. Hot Wheels cars, I love those. I want to get to a point where I could set up my old Hot Wheels tracks and maybe document those and talk about those memories. Like I remember getting this set, and me and my friends sitting on the bedroom floor and we played with it for hours, racing our cars. It's all about preserving memories. Like my Monday video is Scrollsaw Woodworking, and that's just strictly professional, straightforward, business-like. But the other two videos, Wednesday and Friday, allow me to kind of be more me, to where I don't have to be a teacher, so to speak. And then you get to know more aspects of my personality.
I remember
Right.
my mama using them Hot Wheel tracks or something they weren't supposed to be used.
Yeah, buddy.
I didn't ask
remember-
for a whole lot of them.
I remember my first set I got was the circle track, and it had the like the pit stop station, but it was wheels that were turning that were battery operated and sling the car out. Yeah, that was my first set that my mom bought me for Christmas one year. So yeah, Hot Wheels are very collectible still to this day. Trains of all different sizes and shapes are collectible still to this day. So yeah, I've always been a train fan myself, but I had some trains and some tracks when I was younger, but or when I was in my 20s, but I guess I just got away from it. So I might have to explore that again.
I know Steve Good got a model train set. He had posted
Right.
it on his blog. That he was going to try to come up with some patterns for the scales for the houses and all, for model trains to cut out on the scroll saw.
Right. I'll tell you the person you need to get with for that, and that is Dixon. It's on my show. He does them, and he cuts them out of like either cardboard or paper, and makes the little houses and stuff. And I think he uses his laser, if I'm not mistaken, to cut them out.
He does
but
that
yeah,
in
get
3D.
yeah,
He
and
had-
3D.
Yeah, and he had done like what was the last big one he did? It was like a steel mill blast furnace. for the
Yeah,
guy
steel
who
mill blast
built
furnace.
it out.
Yep.
He got a lot of money.
So,
for it,
yeah.
too.
Yeah, get with Dixon on my show. He can give you some pointers and stuff to do or watch, but I know he does a lot of stuff like that, and he actually, that's what he does and makes money. He sells them to people that have the train sets and everything.
Nice.
Yeah. So, what's some of your favorite Scrollsaw projects / videos?
Some of my favorites have been projects that was not even videos. You know, it's just stuff that I made to make in my free time. I know I made some custom advanced rust beard designs. You know, they're more intricate. You know, I've done a couple of those for Christmas presents. Of course, I wasn't filming then. I always take a break at the end of the year because the workshop is neither heated nor cooled. And I do not do cold well. I do not do it. Give me the summer any day of the week. But I made those, and I thought they were really beautiful pieces. I've put them on my social media. I don't know if you have access to pull them up, but one of them was a dinosaur, and I made a beautiful half-lap frame for it. I really loved how that one come out. And then I stacked up 3 blue marlin portraits, one for my mom and one for a family friend that lives at the beach. And they've also got a house here in town, and we hang out a lot. But I really love those designs.
Cool. Yeah, I did some intricate patterns, and then I've done a few intarsia patterns. All were. I like doing intarsia, but I have to be in the mood. It's just one of those things. Yeah, it's just one of those things. I can't walk out in the shop and say, "Hey, I'm going to do an intarsia pattern today." It's kind of like I have to be in the mood and like I want to try something new. Okay, well, yeah, I think I'll do some intarsia today. So that kind of thing, because if you're not in the mood, because it takes a lot more to do that than it does just to sit down and cut something on the scroll saw.
There's a question out in the chat for Tyler.
Okay.
Leonard Davis has a question.
Tyler, when did you post your first video, and when was your first scroll saw video? Did you decide to do the scroll saw videos? In other words, was it the first thing you were doing?
Well, I made my YouTube channel back in 2010, and basically back then everybody was just using it for like music videos, movie trailers, or some documentary stuff. And I made a channel just so I could comment on like, I like that music video or I like that documentary. And I start in December of 2016. My grandmother got real sick, winter of 2016, going into like Thanksgiving, and we spent a lot of time around her. And I got my laptop out and I was just pulling stuff up, and I just happened to think of scroll sawing. You know, I'd got back into it after several years of being away from it, and then I pulled it up and I got to you know, looking at them, and the first person I ever seen do a scroll saw project on YouTube was Steve Carmichael. And I watched several more, like Sterling Davis, Steve Ramsey. And then I'm like, hey, if they can do this, I can. I've got a camera. You know, I can try it. And I posted my very first video in late winter, early spring of 2017. And I just cut out my name, Artisan Pirate, over on the scroll saw. And it is so cringeworthy to go back and watch. I was very robotic, very like stiff in my movements. I didn't have no passion in my voice, you know, like I wasn't excited. I'm like, hey, I'm an Artisan Pirate, we're gonna cut out my name. You know, I mean, but I've learned on the go. No one has told me what to do or showed me. I've kind of learned by the seat of my pants, you know.
Yeah. Sometimes that's the best.
But that's what makes it fun for me, you know, learning. You know.
Yeah, that's what I said. Sometimes it's the best way, rather than having an instructor and showing you how to do it, is just jump in there and do it. Yeah. You learn the basics real quick and learn it a lot better, I think. Dan Inge also posted that he said he had his first train at 5 years old, and he still plays with trains, and he's in his 60s. So yeah.
Nice.
Also, he said, my 50-year-old son fell in love with the scroll saw after using it once. Guess what he got for Christmas? Cool. Yeah, it's and I tell you what, I know a lot of people will argue with you and say that my Harbor Freight scroll saw, I've used it for years and there's nothing wrong with it or whatever, but there is a big difference between the brands of scroll saws. Yeah, there is. I mean, they can sit there and argue till their face turns blue, but they'll never convince me because I did own one of those type of scroll saws when I first started, and I know what the difference was. I went from those old, matter of fact, mine was pinned in blades. I still have one of them.
I still have
And
mine.
yep. And then I went to the Sears Craftsman scroll saw, which was 100 times better, but not as good as the DeWalt. And I used it for years. I ended up giving it to my granddaughter when I taught her to scroll saw because I bought a DeWalt. So I've worked my way through the ranks of scroll saws, so I know what I'm talking about.
I started with a Sears Craftsman 4-inch pin blade scroll saw. It was a 16-inch one. If you flipped a switch, it would walk across the workbench on its own. You know, it just vibrated so much. And then I started with the 16-inch Delta 2-speed scroll saw. And then my grandfather, when he saw that I was going to really try to learn the tool a lot better, he got me the next one up, which was the variable speed scroll saw, the 16-inch by Delta, and that's what I started the channel on.
Yeah.
That's what
Now those weren't too terrible. They were kind of like the Sears scroll saw. They weren't too. The variable speed wasn't too terribly bad. It didn't vibrate as bad as the old ones, and my Craftsman didn't vibrate really bad at all. But the table was very, very small on those. It wasn't the big old table like the DeWalt or whatever. It was very. I would say it's probably only 8 or 9 inches by 8 or 9 inches. It was actually square.
And now I'm using the Rikon.
Oh, Rikon, yeah. How do you like that, by the way?
I like it. I know Harbor Freight has their Bauer model out, and it's just essentially a clone of the Rikon. But the Rikon comes with a 5-year warranty, and it's rock solid. I just actually filmed a video that's going to go up. It's a future Wednesday video where I'm answering like, am I just saying I like it, or do I genuinely like it? You know,
right?
And, I mean, after and I say in that video, like every tool or piece of machinery that comes in a garage or workshop, you're going to tinker with it and do small little modifications to suit your personal workflow. And that's what I've done to that scroll saw. And since I've done those, it's a dream. I still got my 20-inch Delta, but you know that Rikon is rock solid.
Good. I heard a lot of they started coming out at the tail end of when I was doing the Rockler classes, and they wanted me to use it and to promote Rikon in some of my classes, but yet they didn't have enough Rikons for everybody to use. They had like 6 or 7 DeWalts, old Yellers, but they didn't have the Rikons. And I'm like, I'm not going to use the Rikon and demonstrate it and them not be able to use it. If they're using DeWalts, I want to use a DeWalt, so I'm doing on the same plate with them. Yeah. And so the manager didn't like it, but in the end run, I told him, I said, hey, if you don't like it, I just don't do any scroll saws classes anymore. It's up to you, because it's not, if I'm promoting that product, fine, put me out there, put me by myself, let people come by and I'll talk to them about buying it and use it all day long, but not in the class because I want to be using the same saw they're using.
Yeah.
So that's good. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Steve Good has one and did a video on it.
I know Sterling Davis has one.
Okay. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember now. Maybe it was Sterling Davis that I saw video, not Steve Good. I don't remember.
Do you know, he's a wood turner, so I don't know, Jerry Meismer?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
He turns cowboy hats.
Yes. I met him on several occasions at the different woodworking and the sandpaper place that does the extravaganza every year. Klingspor. Yeah, I've been to like 3 Klingspor extravaganzas, and I saw him every time up there and talked to him.
Yeah, me and him have really gotten close, and he's wanting me. He actually reached out to me and asked me about the Rikon scroll saw, and he's like, would you have spent money on it? I'm like, yeah, it's a good deal. And he bought one to send over to his mission trip over in Nicaragua, and he's trying to get me to go. He's done everything to get me to go, but come here and pick me up and kidnap me. And I'm like, Jerry, I have never flown, And
Yeah, that would be pretty cool though. Why did he send it over there, just to have them be able to learn Scrollsaw?
he's setting up a school over there.
Oh, okay.
Through his church, but he wants to get it to a point where it's a standalone, where he can sponsor teachers like me or another wood turner to go over there and teach them how to make stuff.
See you, Paul.
See ya.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul, be good, man.
That's awesome. That's awesome. If I was 20 years younger, I'd jump on it. But I'm at my age. I'm like, I ain't going out of the country.
I'd have to tell him to call me when he decides to go to Rome.
Yeah. Well, if he doesn't, if there's a rockler in Hawaii and they want to send me there, I'd go.
I don't have a rockler near me. I don't think.
Yeah, I
have Woodcraft and I have Klingspor.
There's one or two in North Carolina, but I think they're on the west side of the state.
Yeah,
may not be there no more.
Well, we got really fortunate. We had one in Orlando that was an hour trip for me. Actually, it turned into be an hour and a half because I had to go through Disney traffic to get to the turnoff to get there. Yeah. So we just recently, in this past, since Jim's been here, in this past year or so, got one in Brandon, which is only about 30 minutes from me.
Nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're really close. Matter of fact, Jim came down to Tampa last year, was it? Beginning of last year, I think. Yeah, the beginning of last year. And I met him over in Tampa, and we had lunch with him and his wife were down, and I had lunch with them. And then we went to Rockler, and then we went to Dick's Sporting Goods. But I think I spent like $300 for it. It was so good when I got out of there. But they had a lot of yeah. They had a lot of buy one get one free, like the clamps. They had buy one get one free, and all kinds of stuff as a sale for them just opening up. And actually, I think they'd only been open for a few weeks when we went in there. It wasn't that long, so
that was a nice store.
Yeah. And just so happened to be the lady that is the manager of the new one actually worked at the old one when I taught classes, and I asked her, I said, hey, since y'all are so close, I might be willing to teach classes over here. And she says, well, yes and no. And I said, okay, what's yes and no? She goes, you have to be an employee now. Yeah. And I said, do what? She goes, oh yeah, you have to be an employee and put so many hours a week in the store as an employee before they'll let you teach classes. And I said, yep, well, I ain't doing that.
That's an insurance thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
The closest Klingspor to me is in Cary, North Carolina, and it's like 54 minutes away from me.
That's not too bad.
Yeah.
An hour drive up and an hour drive back. That's not bad. Because I'll spend 3 hours in there looking at crap.
Now around town, I'm fortunate. I have a Lowe's, I have a Home Depot, I have a Harbor Freight, I have several little mom and pop hardware stores, which I'm thankful that they're still around in my area. And then in Gibsonville, the next town up, I've got the hardwood store in North Carolina.
Cool.
So
within a couple hours, you can be at anything that you probably need.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Cool.
And if really need be, we got a Woodcraft in Raleigh. But
yeah, I've been to that one.
Last time I was up there, I can get all this online.
Yeah. Yep.
A lot of times I go into those stores and take a look at something and make note and then go order it online.
We got a new person out there I just noticed in the chat. Time for Exploring. Yeah, he says, hello, Russ, new friend here. I'm a woodworker and a hobbyist, but looking to expand here in Southern Kentucky. Great. Get with me and we can maybe have you on the show sometime.
Welcome.
Yeah, just what you need to do is contact me over, if you have Facebook, I'm over on Facebook as Simply Wooden Creations, or you can find me as Russell E. Clarity, Claridy. So, and who's the other new person y'all were talking about?
The Hobbyist Wood Workshop. Is that it?
Obvious. I know JJE is out there. He's come in.
Oh, he's an old guy.
It's an old guy.
No, he's an old guy.
It looks like there's quite a few out there.
Well, that's the only one that I noticed was Time for Exploring.
Jeff's Train World. Is he new?
Jeff's who?
Train World.
Yeah, he must be new because I haven't seen him.
Yeah,
All right, you're
He's probably here because of Tyler. He's watching
I-
Tyler because he watches Tyler's train shows or train stuff. Yeah, Jeff's Trains World HO Gage and hi Donna, hi Linda. So he apparently knows a few people in here. So hi Jeff, glad to have
Boy,
you.
He would be good to have on if he wants to come on when Dixon is on.
Yeah, he'd be good to have on with Dixon.
Hours. Yeah.
By the way, for y'all who I didn't say, but Dixon was doing some stuff and he wasn't home and wasn't going to be home in time for the show. So that's the reason he's not on tonight. But, and we miss Dixon. So, yeah, we're glad to have the new people out there. So,
Can I
Jeff's
pose a
Train
question?
World. Time for Exploring said, sounds good, Russ. My metal RV car garage will be built in the spring, and the car side of the garage will be my wood shop. Huh? Good. And then Russ Meadows is out there. Hi, Russ. How are you doing? So, good to see you. So we'll see. 8:37. Anybody else have any questions or for Tyler? Oh, go ahead, Tyler.
I've actually got one that I'd like to pose in a group setting like this. And just want a general opinion because it's a video that I'm wanting to film, but I'm worried that I might be crucified for it. You know,
Don't sing. Whatever you do, don't sing.
Yeah, don't sing.
I can't sing no more. Court order. Long story.
He probably had too much. He probably had too much rum and was trying to sing it as a pirate. Arr.
That was one of them redneck karaoke nights, wasn't it?
All right, go ahead.
My question would be: do you all think woodworking is stereotyped?
No, I don't think so.
Well,
How do you mean?
what do you mean stereotype? And here's the reason I asked that, because people get I don't know, tool shamed, let's call it that, for using a CNC. Oh, that's not woodworking. Some people like Donald, they use chisels. Personally, I cut myself if I use a chisel. No, but that's woodworking. And then others say that, a laser isn't woodworking. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to.
Yeah. So, what do you mean by stereotyping? That's a good.
What I mean is by the age bracket. Like I'm in the grand scheme of things, I'm a younger person. And right. I told you I made something for my friend at the beach that lives here part-time. He's 30 years older than me, but we're like this, we have a lot of the same interests. We love antiques. We love history. We love going to nature trails and fishing and all. But me and him will go to Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever the case may be. And we went in there a couple years ago and I told the guy at the store, I said, I need 5 kiln dried 2x4s for a project I'm doing. They pivoted to my friend who's older, and I'm not saying that in a derogatory, but older. And they said, well, sir, why do you need 5 kiln dried 2x4? And I'm just, I've got that in several instances. They look at me, especially if I go in a hardware store and say, hey, I need a box of 1/4x20 bolts. And they're like, well, is your dad with you? Why do you need them? And I mean, so is woodworking in the grand public's eye that's not on social media, TikTok or anything like that, is it stereotyped to where it's only supposed to be retiree people out in their garage? Is that how a lot of people see it?
I mean, I never saw it that way.
I've run into that.
I do.
Run into that.
I do.
Really?
There's
It's starting to change.
It is, thankfully. Like, cause like I'm so happy that so many females have picked up Scrollsaw woodworking.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there are so many talented women out there on Instagram and social media making beautiful and immaculate Scrollsaw work. But and I think it's just gonna play more or less into like whatever area you live in.
In that situation, it might be because I've been on. I can't even remember her name now. Anyway, I've been on a female channel who is a very good woodworker, and had people come up there and comment to her, "You do pretty good work for a girl."
Yeah.
For a woman.
Yeah.
By the way, that's not what I mean. I was hearing the age thing, and what I was thinking was there's a bunch of old geezers like us that are out there woodworking. That's what I mean.
And speaking of old geezers, she's commenting on YouTube, and I can't think of her name.
No, I mean, but I've never had that. To be honest with you, it might be it might be an area thing or whatever, because I've been woodworking my entire life, and I've been in and out of hardware stores. We have mom and pop hardware stores around here. I've been at. We used to have a Scotty's before Home Depot and Lowe's ever even knew what was going on. We had Scotty's in Central Florida, and they were a lumber company hardware store type, just like Home Depot, but they were a local store, so to speak. And I've been doing carpentry work professionally even since I was framing when I was 15 and 16 years old, framing houses. So I've never had that problem. So I'm not quite sure. I mean, I had a lot of people. I remember when I went on a job one time and pulled out some stuff and laid it down and was fixing to get ready to start work. And the guy walked up to me and he looked at me. I had a framing square, and he looked at me. He said, "You know how to use that thing?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "You ever laid out houses?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "All right." He goes, "My head framer is quit on me." And he goes, "I need a couple of houses laid out." He says, "You come over here and lay them out for me. Let me see how you do." And he goes, "If you do, I'll give you a job." And I laid out his houses without any problem. And I was only 16 years old.
Yeah.
So I haven't run into that problem. So I'm not quite sure why. I think it was not the problem of you getting the help. I think it's the problem with the old geezer, and they think the old geezer is letting you do the talking. Try going in there by yourself sometimes.
I have got the same
Same
feedback.
safe.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I think part of it is
personally,
like you're kind of the exception to the rule, because if somebody
Yeah.
sees you at your age, they're going to expect you to be a framer or something like that, not somebody that makes things with a scroll saw or cuts out something that looks cool. That's for older people to do. But
and another thing that just come up out there in the chat.
The way kids are now, or younger people are now, is like, back when we were in our 30s, we didn't have computers to waste our time with. So we did more stuff like framing and hanging siding with our parents or with our dad, or, we did stuff like that all the time. And then we just kept doing it, but we do different things now. But now that's not people coming up. I keep wanting to say kids, but not really kids. People coming up just don't want to do that kind of thing anymore because they're so used to having their head in another area and not in a creative kind of woodworking type thing. They're either going to,
and I think that's
work in construction, or they're going to be a computer nerd. Yeah.
Yep, that's the answer, because a couple of people said some things out there in the chat that just made me dawn on we're looking at a different society now, where the young people aren't doing trades like they used to. When I grew up, everybody was doing trades. That was a way of life. But now you've got computer people that are doing computer skills, and kids that are into gaming and all this other kind of stuff, that the younger generation is not doing trades. They're not in the hardware store. They're not in the Home Depot and
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah, that might be the stereotyping that you're talking about. Is they're looking at you going like, how come you ain't out there drinking some rum and on the pirate ship?
And that's where a lot of parents or parents our age have pushed their children because that's where the money was at the time.
Yeah,
But now
yeah,
we're looking at the infrastructure and realizing there's nobody to fix this.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, I've seen there is a big need, especially with the housing boom in Florida. People are moving to Florida left and right. My son works for D.R. Horton, and he's starting a housing project with 600 homes. He's in charge of it all. They put in the roads and the drainage, and he takes over and starts building the neighborhood. And they're running into. They need plumbers, they need electricians, they need name it down the framers, name it down the line, and people. And I don't want to get into this thing about racist or any kind of thing like that, but some of the problems that people are complaining about the jobs in Florida is that the Mexicans are taking over is because they'll work. They ain't got their head stuck up a computer underneath a computer screen and typing all day long or playing games and this nonsense. They're out there to work and make money, and they're making money.
They get it done. They get it done fast, and they get it done right.
Yes. Yes. So maybe that is the why you're getting stereotyped, is because they think that you shouldn't be there, because most people your age are not into stuff like you're into.
Right. See, I think the gap right now is my generation. I'm just early 60s, but I grew up where in our neighborhood, your dad was one of three things: cop, firefighter, or contractor.
Yeah.
You didn't see guys going out the door with a suit and tie every day. I never saw a tie until I went to high school. So and, it's the complete opposite in those neighborhoods now. They're all downtown bankers and private companies flying a desk all day, But there's a lack, especially in the cities, a lack of contractors, a lack of hands-on tradesmen. It's really crazy. So
That made me so
better because you can get someone who wants to, if not build it from scratch, he'll work with somebody and learn the job along the way. So
yeah.
that made
I
me
have a problem sometimes when I go to Home Depot. If I go with somebody and I tell them, I need a 2x4. I know it's not going to be about 1.5, but that's actually what I want. It's about 1.5. And they're like, they look over if I'm with my brother or Mark, and they're like, but I still come across that.
Yeah.
And it's because I'm female. I mean,
what do you think I get? I'm in Home Depot in a wheelchair. And I'm pulling lumber and making my own stack on the cart. And every employee comes by at one time or another and said, "Can I help you with that?" I said, "Where have you been for 5 minutes? I've been done already." So
Exactly.
Or I'll say, "Yeah, pull me 10 good ones out of this stack. I'm going over there to get some plywood."
Yeah. Make them do that work. That's right.
Exactly. But the problem is they're going to pick 10 good ones or pick 10 that they just pull off the pile.
Oh,
You mean the real good ones?
I've come back and thrown 6 out of the 10 back in the pile.
Because that's my problem. When I go in there, I actually pull the 2x4s off one at a time and look at them and make sure they're not twisted or bowed or whatever. So
I lay them on the floor and I roll them. So if they land even every time, okay, we got a good one. So
Leonard Davis, I don't know where he's getting his statistics from. If you wouldn't mind sharing that, Leonard, says the average age of a home improvement contractor, electricians and plumbers, is over 55.
Yeah, I believe that.
So yeah.
So are we fact checking? Was that what we're doing? I thought that was right my.
Well, I mean, I would like to know where that's coming from, because I'm not doubting it, but yeah, where we can find that is at. And Time for Exploring said he did his own red oak 2-inch thick plank 6-foot dining room table. Yeah, that's a good job. James Parker said there's about 4,000 new apartments going up in Florida. The young guys that get into trades are the good will be millionaires. Yeah.
Oh yeah, in a few short years. Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's
You gotta
Brian
be good, because if you're not
Brian
good,
Woodard
money travels real fast. You're no good.
Yeah, Brian Woodward said Mexicans don't complain all the time and try to nickel and dime you. That's true. Around the farm, you had to do. Aussie Man says around the farm, you had to do woodworking to fix stuff, or your dad would kick your butt.
Right.
So just keep doing it. Yeah. So yeah, and that's true too, because when I was raised on a farm, my dad fixed pretty well everything.
Yeah.
We weren't raised. I wasn't raised on a farm, but my dad was, and I lived through that.
Yeah.
Rule my dad lived by: if it's supposed to move and it's not, you need WD-40. If it's not supposed to move and it is, you need duct tape.
Yep.
So I think that might be why you're getting that stereotyping that you're talking about, is because most younger guys are not doing the stuff that you're doing.
They're not hip.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
So, are you wanting to know if you do a certain video, if people are going to give you a hard time?
Well, how would be the best way to approach it is what my kind of question was. If I would say that in a standalone video with just me talking to my camera, look, if I said and talked about my experiences, basically say the same story of, going with a friend, to Lowe's, and then them pivoting and asking him, and then talking about like solo occasions where I've just been by myself to stop in and get some supplies, and then I just get the why routine, like, why do you need this? Why do you need it that size? Why are you sure you need it this size?
You tell them, because that's what I said I need.
Yeah.
Why don't you?
You have to stand up, and you got to. They got to know that you know what you're doing, and it's by how you say stuff.
Why don't
Of course,
you?
I'm a very demanding person, so I walk into Home Depot because that's all I have, and they look at me and I go, "No, this is what I want." And they're like, "Yes, ma'am." You got to stop them.
Yeah.
Well, as a former Lowe's employee, they tell you to ask questions like that.
Yeah.
That's part of the training, and it's partly to make sure you get exactly what you need. And we have a lot of people in there that come in there think they know what they're doing, but these are people that are hooking up a dryer plug
That'll kill them.
To a stove.
Right.
It don't work that way.
Well, yeah, you say that, but that's interesting because you're not in Florida. It wouldn't be the first time that I've ever went in to hook up a stove and have bought the stove plug and go in there and it be a dryer plug in the back to plug in for the stove. So that's common for around here, is the people get the dryer and the stove plug mixed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, very common.
That would be why your job as a firefighter was so popular.
Yeah, but I'm serious. I have seen, I don't know how many times. My son just the other day, he told me, he said, "Dad, it's a range." By the way, Cameron got an apartment and moved out, so he had been living with us for a while. But he was telling me that he went to hook up his dryer and it was a stove plug on the wall. And I started laughing. I said, "You don't know how many times I've seen that." So it's that's not near as bad as having the opposite. The dryer plug in the stove is the one that's bad.
Right.
So
isn't all your stuff 220?
It doesn't matter. The stove needs a ground because of you're touching it, and it's an appliance inside the home. Yeah. It's different from a dryer.
A dryer plug is designed to pull about 30 amps, whereas the stove is going to
50 amps. That's another reason
about
too.
The current rating on the plug. Okay, never mind.
Right. Yeah, the range is 50 amps, and the dryer plug's usually 30 amps, but they're different. The range is 3-prong. And
they are.
The dryer is 3-prong and the range is 4-prong. It's got the ground added to it.
And they do that so you don't mix them up.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Right. Yeah, they try to do that so you don't mix them up. So the people just cut the ground off and put the dryer plug on the range.
Really? They don't do
Yeah.
I've
that?
seen that too.
Yeah. Yep. They will do it.
But yeah, Lowe's, I'm sure Home Depot does the same thing. They train you to ask questions and push you to ask questions like that. So it's
But I know more than half of them at my Home Depot.
well, when I was working in the electrical department, half people come there knew more than I did. But
Yeah.
I know you don't swap out. You can swap out the stove plug, but you can't do
Yeah.
that.
So I guess we've already know what Tyler's woodshop confession is going to be. Just tell us how you did it. You lost your finger to the bandsaw. So how in the world did you do it for your woodshop confession?
No, this was a joiner.
Or joiner, I mean. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Joiner. How'd you do it?
It happened when I was just learning. It was going into summer. When I was 14, I'd have to count the years back for that. But again, I'll be 37, good Lord willing, in July. But grandfather was teaching me, and he had my great grandfather's joiner. So it had like the washing machine motor to turn the belt, to turn one of those type joiners.
Yeah.
And he said, now don't put no small piece of wood on here. You see this going through here. And again, I was 14, you can't tell a teenager nothing. Well, he had a chicken coop, and basically he was running scrap 2x4s to it to get some shavings, or it might have been 2x6s because they were wider, just to get some shavings to put in the the nest for the chickens, and he had put a piece aside, and I'm like, oh, I can get a few more passes out of that. No, I couldn't. And it popped. It caught the nerve, so I didn't feel like no actual pain. But he heard it, and he had turned around. That's the only way I ever, that's the only way I got by with doing it to begin with. He turned around for a second, and I'm like, and it upset him more than it upset me. I'm like, yeah, I've got a messed up finger now, but I mean, he's like, oh, I can't believe this happened to you. He was crying. But when that pop happened, because it jerked the wood out of my hand and threw it, he snapped around and he started saying 911, 911. And I'm like, what? I thought it was him, and I did not even realize it till I looked down to my hand. And then I realized I couldn't bend my finger no more, that I knowed something was wrong.
Wow.
But then, 14 at a hospital at an ER, of course, I had to ride an ambulance to the hospital. That was just, Burlington, no, take me somewhere else next time. But get there and, 14 years old, you have no say so, so, my mom was there and the first doctor come in and they're like, oh, we'll just cut it off at the knuckle. And they're like, and then I'm like, no, now I'm getting scared. And then my mom's like, well, can we get a second opinion? And at this point, it's like 12 o'clock at night, 12 in the morning, and they're like, well, that doctor's not on call till 7. He's at home asleep. And she's like, well, we're not leaving until we get a second opinion. So he come in and he's like, why did y'all call me for this? He said, I can pin that and save it. So that's what he done, so, but I don't have that, that third bend no more.
Yeah. Right.
Because all that's a pin.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my father. Whenever he would bend, he cut his finger across here at this knuckle the same way you did. And it was stiff. So when he would bend his finger, it would be like an L like that.
Yeah.
And he couldn't bend it. They saved his end of his finger, but it was stiff all the time. So when he would grab something, his finger would like stick out really weird.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was cutting a board and he had one of those old skill saws, the metal ones, and that thing got in a bind and it wheel hopped out of the cut onto the top of the board and got his hand.
Wow.
Yeah. They had a lot of power back then. They didn't those saws didn't bog down.
Mm-mm.
You pinch them and they're coming up. That's the reason I have the handle on them, for you to have two hands on it.
Yeah.
Not just one. All right.
My
So
thumb scars from high school. On the table saw what was supposed to be fresh, clean, good wood. Turned out to be a recycled piece with a giant ass nail buried in it.
Mm.
And I ran across the table. The nail caught the blade caught the nail, whichever. Through the board, but dragged my hand forward at the same time, like right across there. Didn't lose it, but it's a good size scar.
Well,
James
I'm
Parker
left-handed, so my right hand is all scarred up. You know.
I imagine, yeah. Now, I always thought about left-handed. Shouldn't you would be working on the opposite side from where I'm working?
Chris Nealon says, by the time you're old, you won't be able to bend it anyway. LOL. Ask me how I know.
Yeah.
Old geezer.
Who's old? Old is only a number.
What is a geezer?
Aussie Man said, when they say, "You sure that's what you want?" Tell them back, "You sure you don't want a crowbar in them?" Yeah, buddy.
I'd say, no, I prefer to have $1 million, but you don't sell that here, so. Wow.
But yeah, that always amazed me, because no matter what skill you had, I showed them all my woodworking and all that, and they put me in electrical. And I showed them all my electrical work, they'd have put me over in the hardware section. So you're supposed to ask them all these questions about, to make sure you're giving them what they need, but you really don't know you damn self.
Right.
I think it's the business practice. You want people buying things they don't really need.
That's
it's
part
the
of
wrong
it.
item, but most are not going to come back and return it. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
So movie
Now, I pretty well. I've only been talked out of buying something a couple of times, because I pretty well have done my research and know what I want and what I need when I go in there. So, all right. Well, it's getting about time that we cut out of here. I appreciate all y'all being out there. Chris Nealon,
Thank y'all for having me.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Time for exploring.
Thank you for coming.
Hey,
Yeah.
no problem.
Aussie Man, Leonard Davis, Michelle Marcoux, all y'all, Russ Meadows, James Parker, Brian Woodward, Explorer. What is that? Time for Exploring. And then the other person, the train guy.
And guys, go follow all these people. It's free. Expand the community and stuff. Kind of support.
Yeah. I would say that also, if you haven't already, it's Artisan Pirate. He's on Instagram and YouTube, just like it says in his name. So you just type that into Instagram or type that into YouTube, and you'll be able to find him. And Artisan, sorry.
Artisan.
Well, hey, old habits are hard to break.
He's not from Artesia, New Mexico.
Yeah, of course he is.
Tyler, are you on Facebook?
Yes.
Okay,
I haven't posted. Wait,
you might be the one that's close enough. I can hang with sometime.
I haven't done that. My apologies. Glad you said that.
Steve Carmichael was creeping out on us all night.
He's been working?
You little creeper, you.
Oh. All right, so here's Artisan Pirates YouTube. Guys, go follow them. Follow, like, subscribe. It's free.
Yes.
Everyone out here, too bad that YouTube doesn't allow you to go to their channels. What I do is I try to highlight it and go find it. Sometimes it's not easy. YouTube doesn't want us to do this, but we all want to be subscribed.
You used to be able to do it, but now you can't.
Yeah, now you can't.
To be able to.
Yeah, you used to be able to get on their YouTube channel and go through their stuff, and you still can since he's on here right now. If Tyler said I could go over there and pull up, and we can do that at a later date if he wants to come back and pull up some of his videos and show them, and he can narrate them. So that would be a good idea if you want to come on in the future again. And I'm going to try to talk to Steve Good and see if I can get his butt back on here in the near future also. But thank you again, Tyler, for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it, and
No
we've had a good time, and
Yes.
yeah, we've learned a lot of stuff. And like I said, go see him on YouTube and also Instagram, and subscribe to his channel
Thank you.
if you haven't already. But thanks to Tyler. Thank you, Al, Donna, Chris, Donald, and Jim. Thank y'all for being on here. Thank y'all for being on the chat. Listen, if you're too darn busy to get out in your shop and make some sawdust, you're either lazy, get off the couch, get out your butt out in the shop and make some sawdust, or you're just too darn busy.
You could be sick.
Yeah, you could be sick like me the last few weeks. So get out in your shop and make some sawdust. Just give me sawdust, lots of sawdust all around me and everywhere. I like it flying all around my shop and even in my beard and hair. Good night, everybody, and thank you for watching. And Chris, we missed you last week for saying this.
Well, remember, boys and girls, you do not have to go home, but you cannot stay here.
Nope.
What Chris said.
You got to leave.
And if you haven't got
See
a
ya.
phone number yet, you're not getting it.
Live long and prosper, everyone.
See ya.
Adios, boys.